out of all the week 1 games, this is the one I'm looking forward to the most. Number 9 LSU at number 4 Clemson, the battle for Death Valley, the Tiger Bowl, a rematch of the 2019 National Championship game, a battle between 2 college football playoff contenders featuring 2 of the best quarterbacks in the entire country. This is what it's all about. This is how you start a season. And we're going to predict everything you need to know about this game, predict our official winner for you right here at the Gridiron Expert. You take a look at LSU and Clemson. We mentioned these are 2 playoff contenders, and one of them made the playoff last year. Clemson was not having a great season, right? Just 9-3, but thanks to the big upset of Syracuse over Miami, the Tigers snuck into the ACC Championship. They beat SMU. They clinched the automatic bid as the ACC champion, lost to Texas, but still, 10-4 last year, did make the college football playoff. It should be noted, though, that 3 of their 4 losses did come to SEC teams. Maybe something to monitor as they play a top 10 LSU team. LSU, on the other hand, has kind of struggled a little bit under Brian Kelly. They have yet to break through to the college football playoff under him. Failed to do so last year in a disappointing season, going just 9-4, 8-4 in the regular season, beat Baylor in their bowl game. The Tigers, though, 0-5 in their last 5 season openers. So, interesting trends here, right? Something's going to change. Clemson struggled against the SEC last year. Will they get a win over a quality team now? LSU has lost their last 5 season openers. Will they finally end that streak now? Let's talk about it. Look at LSU first. 8 starters are back on the offensive side of the ball. We mentioned this is a battle between 2 of the best quarterbacks in the entire country, and I mean that. The Tigers of LSU are led by Garrett Nussmeier, who threw for over 4,000 yards last year, 29 touchdowns, and just 12 interceptions. And I say just 12. Those are numbers that I'm sure Brian Kelly and the Tigers would love to see cut down quite a bit. It's not bad. It's not a horrible ratio. Not horrible considering the Tigers still averaged over 30 points per game, but he does need to take better care of the football, does need to make some better decisions across the board. He's going to have to be very cautious with the ball in such a great environment of Death Valley over in Clemson, right? He's got a great supporting cast surrounding him, though. Nussmeier is one of the best. He's got Aaron Anderson returning. He was the leading wide receiver on the team last year with over 880 yards. They add Berrien Brown in from Kentucky, who had over 1,400 reception yards with the Wildcats over the last 3 years. Nick Anderson was injured last year, but he transfers in from Oklahoma, where in 2023, he had nearly 800 reception yards. They also add Oklahoma's tight end, Bauer Sharp, who's going to play a bigger role than I think people realize. The running back core, not too bad. Caden Durham, their leading rusher from last year, does return 753 yards and 6 touchdowns. The biggest concern I have for LSU coming into this game is their offensive line. I think the passing attack is going to be great. I think the running game is going to be better than it was last year. But the fact that they lose 4 offensive linemen to the NFL in a year where they only gave up 15 sacks, that concerns me. The Tigers certainly still have talent up front on the offensive line, but how well will they protect Garrett Nussmeier? How well will they open up some running lanes? That's what I'm curious about, especially going up against one of the best defensive lines in the country with Clemson. We're going to talk about that here in a little bit. But the offensive line is the biggest question mark that I have on this offense right now. And again, on the road against a great defensive front that Clemson has, that is pretty concerning. The Tigers of Clemson, on the other hand, this was a breakthrough year for them last year under Garrett Riley, right? Year 1 under him wasn't as great as they were expecting. Year 2, they finally took off. Averaged over 34 points per game, 173 rushing yards per game, 279 passing yards per game. I do think Cade Klubnik is the best quarterback in the country. Last year, he was one of the best in the country. Over 3,600 passing yards, 36 touchdowns, just 6 interceptions. Also rushed for nearly 500 yards and 7 more touchdowns. So Klubnik, to me, is the best quarterback in the country. And I think he's going to show off quite a bit on Saturday night. And the good thing about this offense is not just how dangerous Klubnik is as a passer and a rusher, but the fact that he returns his top 3 pass catchers from last year. That's what's going to make this Clemson offense so special. You look at the guys like Antonio Williams, who led the team with 900 reception yards and 11 touchdowns. Bryant Wesco Jr., TJ Moore, all coming back. The top 3 pass catchers, top 3 targets for Cade Klubnik, all returned this year. They have a very deep offensive line that could be one of the best in the country. And then the running back, you look at Phil Maffa, losing him's a big blow, right? But Gideon Davidson, a freshman running back, a lot of potential there. And a lot of guys are excited about him out at Clemson right now. That's the biggest question mark Clemson has. They're fine at offensive line, fine at receiver, fine at quarterback. What about running back? And to me, I'd rather have some questions at running back coming into this game than some questions in the trenches. That would just be me. So I'm very excited about both these offenses, very excited about both these quarterbacks. It's going to be an absolute duel between these two, which comes to the question, what defense will step up and make the most stops? What defense will come through and make the plays when it matters the most? We take a look at LSU. LSU, 8 starters are back on defense. They gave up 24.3 points per game last year, 364 yards per game last year. Blake Baker, their defensive coordinator, is the highest paid assistant in college football. At least they made him that last year. If you watch our LSU prediction video, if you looked at how we talked about LSU over the course of this offseason, I'm excited about this defense. It's kind of been the side of the ball that has plagued them these last few years, right? The offenses have been great, as we've seen. The defenses maybe not so much. I think they could be really salty this year. Really, really good. The defensive line anchored by Jack Pyburn, the transfer in from Florida. Patrick Payton also transferring in on the defensive line in from Florida State, where he had 5 sacks last year. The linebacking core, is led by their star linebacker, Whit Weeks, who had 125 tackles last year, the leading tackler on the team in 2024. 125 tackles, 3.5 sacks. Harold Perkins also returns from injury this year, which is massive for the Tigers. The secondary is loaded as well. Lots of great talent there. You've got Ashton Stamps. You got Mansour Delane, who was a second-team ACC selection each of the last 3 years at Virginia Tech. A.J. Hawley is a first-team Big 12 selection from Houston. He now is playing his football days in Baton Rouge. Had 5 interceptions last year with the Cougars. So 2 all-conference selections in Delane and Hawley now in the secondary for LSU. They also had Jordan Gilbert as well. So the secondary is really, really good. You've got a guy at the linebacking core that has 125 tackles last year as the anchor, the glue of your defense, and that defensive line going to be pretty dang good as well. To me, this is the best defense that LSU has had in quite a while. It's just a matter of if they've lived up to the hype or not. Clemson, on the other hand, they've got a new defensive coordinator, Tom Allen, former Indiana head coach, former Penn State defensive coordinator, and God, I love this guy, right? He brings so much energy, so much fight and aggression. This is a perfect fit for Dabo Swinney's staff, right? A perfect fit for this football program. And Clemson, notorious for having very strong defenses, will continue to have another one in 2025. They have 9 starters back. They gave up 23.4 points per game. And we mentioned a second ago our concerns with LSU's offensive line because they're going up against one of the best defensive lines in the entire country. That is true, right? Dabo Swinney actually dipped his toe into the transfer portal, gets a guy like Will Helt in from Purdue. So if Swinney's going to use the transfer portal, he's going to use it in a big way. Helt's a massive pickup coming in from Purdue. You've got DeMonte Capehart as well, Peter Woods, TJ Parker, who had 11 sacks last year. All 4 of those guys up front on the defensive line going up against an LSU offensive line that lost, as we mentioned, 4 starters to the NFL. That doesn't mean the LSU offensive line is going to struggle mightily. That doesn't mean that they're just going to be nothing, like Clemson's going to have their way with them. But there is a concern. A veteran defensive line that has played together, that is very, very talented, against an offensive line that's much more inexperienced than it was last year. And they're doing it on the road, I should add. That's not ideal. Keep going with Clemson here. The linebacker, they returned their top 2 tacklers from last year. You've got Wade Woodaz and Sammy Brown. Those 2 guys combining for 8 sacks last year. One of the best linebacking duos in the nation. The secondary has tons of veterans, namely Avion Terrell and Khalil Barnes, who had 4 interceptions last year. So once again, Clemson, defensive line, linebacking core, secondary, absolutely loaded. One of the best defenses in the entire country. And to me, this Clemson team is starting to look like the Clemson teams of old, right? They have been playoff teams before. They've won national titles before. And one of the big, consistent factors in the teams that have gone on to win conference titles and national titles has been stingy defenses. And they've got one now in Death Valley. So all in all, guys, I look at this game, I really do feel like it's a fairly even matchup. Part of me actually kind of wishes that this game was going to be played at a neutral site, right? Like, put this game down in Atlanta, just somewhere, Indiana, I don't know, somewhere not New Orleans. That'd be like a home game for LSU, not Charlotte, making it closer for Clemson. Like, put it somewhere, that's a true neutral site, and let's just see these teams go at it. Because I do feel like, both quarterbacks, if you watched our videos, I got Klubnik ranked as the top quarterback in the country, Nussmeier at number 2. Number 1, number 2. That's awesome. Both these defenses have tons of talent at all 3 levels. Both these guys have great wide receivers. This is just what feels like a fairly even matchup. But at the end of the day, I am going to be picking the Tigers of Clemson to win this game. I like the Clemson offense a little bit better. Okay, Klubnik's the best quarterback in the country. His top 3 pass catchers return. He's got a strong offensive line. They certainly have the edge there over LSU. Yeah, I'm taking them. I look at the defense. LSU, I said, it's the best it's been in a while. I think Clemson's a little bit better. The defensive line's one of the best in the nation. Veterans in the secondary. Top 2 tacklers from last year return, both in the linebacking core. Gonna side with them there. Factor in home field advantage on top of that. To me, it's a no-brainer. I think it will be close. I don't think that, Clemson comes in here and wins this game by 20 plus or anything. That would be a shock. But I do believe that they will win this game. Could be an instant classic. Could be the best game of week 1. But it's the Clemson Tigers that get a huge season opening win. They kind of end their streak and end their struggles against the SEC, while LSU unfortunately drops their 6th straight season opener. But it should be noted that even with this loss, one of these teams has to lose, guys. These both are college football playoff contenders. The season is not over for either of these teams, right? Whoever loses this game, they'll be losing to a quality opponent. It's not a season breaker. Sure, the margin for error is much slimmer if you lose this game. But regardless of who loses, the season's not over. Regardless of who wins, they are not a lot for anything. But it would be a huge boost to the resume. And I do believe Clemson gets it. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos. Check out everything down in the description below. That includes our website, thegridironexpert.com, home to our expert picks, some of the best college football and NFL spread picks in the entire country. We beat out over 80% of the national handicappers each of the last 6 years. We're going to do it again this year. We want you to take advantage of those picks. Sign up for them today, along with our weekly newsletters, also over on thegridironexpert.com. All of that there for you to become a member of our GE Nation. And once again, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.